Yes, people, welcome to the Noble Corner. I'm your host, Senior Nobleman, here with another Noble Corner. That's right. We're doing more in 2020. So today, I want to talk about the Chris Nolan film, Tenet. You'll watch that, you'll see the trailer for that. Tenet, starring John David Washington. That's Denzel Washington's son. He was from Ballers and whatnot. You got in there Robert Pattinson from Twilight, and he's going to be the new Batman. You've also got a lady called Elizabeth Debicki, who was in, she was in that Widows film, and she was also in Guardians of the Galaxy 2. She was the lady with the gold face, yeah. She was the lady in that. Now, Tenet, whew! What a film. Now, I'm happy to see another Chris Nolan film come out, because with Chris Nolan films, it kind of almost guaranteed a good story. I mean, Chris Nolan, he's done the Batman films, with starring Christian Bale. He's done Memento. He's done Inception with Matthew McConaughey. With Chris Nolan, you're expected to get a great story. So I mean, I was gonna go and see it anyway. I wanted to go and see it anyway. And by the way, Chris Nolan's brother is Jonathan Nolan. He is the co-writer or co-creator of the new Westworld on HBO. But anyway, Tenet. Now, this film is I've been wanting to see it, and luckily I went to go and watch it the other day, and let me give the review. So let me talk to you about this film. This film is about this CIA agent guy. He don't have a name, interestingly. He's like, protagonist. John David Washington's character is kind of like some CIA agent. He's out there to kind of stop these bad guys. And then he somehow gets recruited into this organization that knows about, and excuse the plot spoilers, but they know about something to do with like inversion, which is to reverse stuff. And this is where you see in the trailers that stuff in going backwards and stuff. This is like bullets going back into guns, people moving backwards, explosions happening backwards, and basically his job is to kind of stop these people who also know about this technology from messing with time. This is a time thing. This is a time travel thing, and obviously with time, it always gets confusing. And, there's always laws and physics about whether it's sort of like plausibility of it. But this one it's a time travel spy thing. But so this is John David Washington's in there, and let me just start with the start. I don't want to give you the full story, but I'm just going to give you some of it. The time travel thing's happening. Stop these guys messing with time travel. John David Washington's recruited, and he's got Robert Pattinson as his wingman, and then you've got also Aaron Taylor Johnson. Aaron Taylor Johnson he was in the Avengers. He was in Avengers Age of Ultron. He played Quicksilver. So brother to Scarlet Witch. He was in there as well. And so basically, it's kind of like these people got to stop these other people from messing with time. And Kenneth Branagh is the bad guy. He's playing this Russian oligarch who's not really a nice man, who's kind of messing with time and wants to do something, and is working with people in the future to do something with time. But that aside, yeah. And then Elizabeth Debicki is in there as Kenneth Branagh's wife, who's not being treated very nicely by her husband. Kenneth Branagh's kind of playing the architectural bad guy. Anyway, so this film now, let me talk a bit about the characters. Now, John David Washington, characters and actors. John David Washington now, obviously he's got a strong legacy he's got to follow, because his dad is Denzel Washington. That's Denzel Washington's Denzel Washington. Anything Denzel Washington is hard. Denzel Washington's best role for me was Malcolm X. He played that so supremely. He deserved his Oscar for that. You cannot touch Denzel. That was top tier. But John David Washington's got some big shoes to fill. And to be honest, I mean, I've watched John David Washington in Ballers. I've seen him in Black Klansman, and he was cool. But this film was like really kind of showed like John David Washington's kind of action chops. And if you want to go by his dad, how he was doing Equalizer, he was on that flex in there. He was like backing man up, and I loved it. John David Washington plays his character very competently, and the crazy thing about John David Washington, he is his dad. Like, I'm not saying in mostly looks wise, but his movement and his like physicality and the way he talks, some of the words that he says as well, it's like Denzel's talking. Denzel, you spat yourself out, made your own version of yourself. Just looks a little different, maybe a bit shorter. But yeah, he's doing stuff in there, and it's really cool. It's kind of like this James Bond stuff. He's out there, you know, doing his thing, and I think John David Washington was really cool in it. And I also want to say I always keep saying this thing about Denzel Washington. Yeah, like he's the type of guy in Hollywood I wouldn't fight. You know, me and my older brother always talk about who we'd fight in Hollywood. John David Washington is not one of the guys I want to fight. There's a fight scene in there, and I'm just like, yo, if John David Washington hits me, man, I'm not involved. Like, and you know, John David Washington used to be American football player, so that's even more reason to not be involved. But anyway, John's cool in there. Then you got Robert Pattinson's character. Now, Robert Pattinson's character is like the side man, and he's helping John David Washington with this mission and time travel. And I was never a fan of Robert Pattinson because of Twilight. I can't be watching films like that. I mean, I think I watched the first one and I just went to sleep. I just found it so angsty and so much, oh my god, we're teenagers and like we're in love and like we're vampires and I just couldn't do it. But surprisingly, I'm gonna give this guy credit. I actually liked his role in it. I think it was really cool in it. I felt he really complimented the character, John David Washington's character, and interestingly, there's a nice little twist with him. So I was really impressed, and not to mention Robert Pattinson's going to be the new Batman, and I saw the trailer for the new Batman. I don't want to talk about that, but I'm thinking, Robert Pattinson, I might change my whole view on him. But anyway, he was cool in there. Then you had Kenneth Branagh. Now Kenneth Branagh was almost he was a bit cheesy because he's always playing a bad guy, but I think it was the role he played in this one was basically he had to play that kind of bad guy. There was a reason why he was bad. It wasn't like he was just an architectural bad guy. But he was this Russian oligarch who had control of these things from the future that could, reverse time. And basically what it was is that he, I think he was dying, spoiler alert, and he basically didn't want the world to go on without him. So he was building something which would have destroyed the whole world. And John David Washington and his crew had to stop that. But it's a weird one because it's time travel. It's like slightly it already happened, and there was, people going back into the past and seeing the past version of themselves and all these sort of things. But Kenneth Branagh was perfectly competent in the role. I enjoyed him as a bad guy. He did what he needed to do. Elizabeth Debicki was in there as Kenneth Branagh's kind of hard done by wife. She was cool in it. I didn't have, much. She was just alright in it. She had kind of a bit of a connection between John David Washington's character, which kind of annoyed me a little bit because it was more like, he was kind of trying to save her from her bad husband. I just thought, whatever. Anyway, so that annoyed me a little bit, but fundamentally, I think the level of acting was really cool in it, and it fitted with the story. And the thing is, because Chris Nolan's got quite good stories, it makes it easier to watch anyway. Now, let's talk about some of the features in there. Now, this film, Chris Nolan is not a guy known for your CGI. He likes to do things like real, like in The Dark Knight. There's a scene where the Joker's driving the truck and it flips over. That was a real truck flipping over, not no CGI thing. Now, in this film, he tries to go, he keeps it visceral, real, and gritty. Like, you see, certain things happen in the film, explosions and whatnot, and it's all real. In The Dark Knight, he destroyed a whole building to make the realism, and I really think that it really makes it more kind of plausible. Like, you're thinking that could, I don't know about the time travel, but this stuff could happen in the real world. It's not like you see, a sort of old Busta Rhymes video, with all lights and cameras and whatnot. But he really pushes on the realism, and some of the stuff and the stunts that were done in there, there's a bit where they have to bungee jump upwards, and that's really cool. And I know they had to do that themselves, but that was really cool. Some of the fight scenes are really, really cool. Like, it's a mad one. There's a fight scene in there where he's fighting a guy, and the guy's more or less fighting him backwards. It's mad. It's mad, but it's to do kind of choreographer that, or have the camera tricks working in sort of forward and backwards. I just, the mind boggles, and I just really give credit for that sort of thing. So that was really cool, some of the features. And then interestingly, the soundtrack, another feature is the soundtrack was done by the guy who did Black Panther. What's his name? Ludwig Göransson. So there was quite a striking kind of atmosphere and feel to the film because of the soundtrack. I wouldn't say it's on par with Black Panther, but yeah, it was cool, and it's very kind of hallmark of what Chris Nolan kind of does. Very strong, loud horns, bam, bam. He likes them kind of brash harshness to kind of like wake everyone up. Now, just a bit about the plotline. Not a bit about the plotline, but I just want to say this film for me, it was a refreshing thing to watch. Hadn't been to the cinema in a while, how it's been with COVID and whatnot. But it was cool to watch, and it was like what I liked about this was there was an original story. Time travel's been done, but usually with Chris Nolan, he doesn't come out with stuff like I'm going to make a sequel of or I'm going to make a remake of, except for the Batman series. But when he story tells, he really takes his own sort of his own. You can really see his own character weaving its way through the films. He likes to go with quite complex quite complex stories with science and physics in it. And, obviously some people will question the science and the physics, but I don't know nothing about that, so I'm just assuming it's cool. So what I would give about that is it's a well-written story. I know I'm going to have to watch it again to really take it in. I had to go and read about it after, but I really did enjoy the film. Now, let's just talk about, the run time for this film is about 2.5 hours. And that's expected from a Chris Nolan film. I'm cool. I feel like I'm getting my money's worth when I go to the movie theater, or the cinema as we call it. And it was. I'm gonna give this one 4 aces out of 5 because I maybe this is because I hadn't been to cinema in a while, but it was a breath of fresh air. It was something definitely worth watching. Good kind of soundtrack to keep it kind of thing. John David Washington is I think he's gonna be the new guy, man. I think he's gonna be the new guy. I think he had a good sort of setup with characters like Robert Pattinson, and obviously Chris Nolan, forgot to mention, had his cameos from Michael Caine. Michael Caine was in there doing kind of Alfred stuff. I can't even remember. But Tenet is definitely worth a watch. I will say that this film is, you have to concentrate when you're watching it. I can't even remember, they said Tenet, and I can't even remember why that was significant. But there's a nice little twist at the end that you might like, and it's really cool. So I would suggest you go out and watch it, and come back. Let's chit and chat about it. So that's Tenet, 4 aces out of 5, and that has been your Noble Corner for today. I'm your host, Senior Nobleman. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and keep watching because there'll be more videos coming from the Noble Corner. That's right. I'm your host, Senior Nobleman. I like to get hyped, and I'll see you next time.